Your Excellency, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to talk to you as Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. We indeed are honored that you are speaking to the nation through our 4 TV stations and 11 radio stations. Your Excellency, we want to begin with the upload of the world, especially on Uganda's approach to mitigating the effects of the pandemic and the interventions that you've put in place to minimize the spread of the virus and its impact. We are speaking of just 1,200 cases, at least a little over that, and 7 deaths. However, this has come with some economic and social impact on the nation. What measures are being overseen by government to address these economic and social challenges, Your Excellency?
This was a war, and with a war, you balance risks. The problem is that many people compare the uncomparables. They compare life with business, with convenience. However, in my thinking, I don't think that there is any comparison. And I think it's part of the problem is that many of the people don't know our history. Some of these problems are not new. Before the Europeans came, we had smallpox. The epidemic of smallpox of 1893. It is called the smallpox of Muti. Muti was the old name for Mbarara. Now, a lot of people died who were in the palace. That's why there were a lot of death. People who ran to the rural areas, they died less. So these measures, so many people died, but others survived. The same with the epidemics of cattle, like rinderpest. Again, in those years, 1890 something, there was an epidemic of rinderpest. Many cows died, but some survived. So we have got a long experience of dealing with these calamities. You sit it out, and it passes, and you build up again. This is really the correct thing to do. But the people are saying that we put money before life. I think they are wrong, because it's not necessary. We lost 20 years of Idi Amin, but we have built up now. Now, in this case, to say we lose some momentum for 6 months or even a year, but minimize the death, and we resume. People think that this is the end of the world. It will pass, but it will pass safely or with minimum damage. This is really the issue. Now, as for the economic losses, the whole economy did not shut down. Agriculture is there. A little bit affected, yes, because agriculture also was feeding hotels, feeding schools. So if they are closed, there's some problem. But some of the people have found other solutions, like for instance processing eggs into mayonnaise and some other food or supplements, because the market for eggs is now down because of the hotels, but they have found alternatives. Manufacturing is continuing, and we can support those groups which had particular problems either to recover later or to shift to other areas. What should be clear is that we must minimize the death. That is the biggest consideration. The rest is adjustable. But once you die, you don't come back. The irreversible, like for instance, the 160,000 people who have died in the USA in the last 4 months, they will not come back. And that's what I didn't want to be part of.
Your Excellency, as you've mentioned, there is the hope that we will return to the old normal. However, when we speak about the opening of schools and the airport, are there any quick solutions to mitigating the spread, plus the impact on the economy, as you've spoken, especially the business sector? While the scientists are telling us that unless there is a vaccine, we will need to deal with the new normal, which we are in right now. Where is the middle line?
We shall continue analyzing, see what can be resumed safely. You see, for instance, tourism. We are beginning to think of what if we opened the airport, but for special categories of people. For instance, let's say for tourists, they come, they are checked before they come from their countries, they are checked. When they land here, we also take samples again and put them in dedicated vehicles to take them to the parks, not mix with the population. They stay in some dedicated hotels. Can we not have a way? We are looking at that. Then for business people, we could also look at the ones who have got specific things which they can go to after some quarantine or something like that. So there are, I saw an example in Cuba. In Cuba they have reopened tourism, but for only the ones going to the islands, to the island resorts, not joining the main population. So you could have some ways. The schools, we are looking at the medical finalists because we need them. We need them to, when they finish their undergraduate studies, they become interns. They are the ones who run hospitals. So they can't miss their exam. If they miss the exam, they miss, but you also miss interns. And the interns are the ones running hospitals when they are doing their 1 year of internship. And the nurses. So like the medical, there are not many. They can sit in with social distancing, and they do their exams. So we shall continue seeing what can be done safely. If it can be done, we do it. However, I think we shall really get a solution. Even us here, we are working around the clock about the vaccine, but also about maybe some cures. The fact that people get sick and recover, and not only recover, but actually the virus appears to disappear from the body, gives me hope that we shall find a solution.
Speaking about the schools, Your Excellency, we have other candidate classes, O-level and A-level and primary school, and the implications to the other classes. Should we be bracing ourselves for a dead year?
No, we said let's wait up to before September we shall make a statement. Because the third term was supposed to open in September. We are now still in the early part of August. Let's see. We shall come out at the right time.
Your Excellency, government did pronounce itself on key economic interventions or relief to buffer the economy during this period. Some of these included the restructuring of loans with the banks, the deferred payment of some of the taxes until September, among others to provide liquidity for the private sector hard hit by the virus. The vulnerable or virtual economy, as you called it in your real versus vulnerable economy publication. Does this address or speak to the efforts the government is putting in place in promoting industrialization, to promote import substitution and export promotion?
Yeah, for import substitution and export promotion, the main channel would be the low-cost money in the UDB. We have put quite a bit of money there, more than 1 trillion this year. So that's the main channel. This will be new borrowing, cheap borrowing, different from the other loans. So that will be the main effort. And then plus the revolving funds, the innovation funds for the scientists, and the revolving funds for the youth, different groups. So it is the use of cheap money that we hope to use to really diversify the economy, create a new base. There's a lot of idle capacity. You have maize, too much, but we are still importing animal feeds. And the youth are there, they don't have jobs, but the people who are looking after chicken don't have animal feeds. So why not assist the youth to form associations and they operate the maize mills for maize flour and also for animal feeds? How about the abattoirs? The abattoirs have been built, but they need somebody to concentrate the bullocks, to supply them. We are creating youth groups and supporting them to do that. Then we go to vegetable oil, sim, sunflower. Instead of being exported and processed, why don't they make vegetable oil out of them by supporting the youth groups, using the innovation, the microfinance, the EMIOGA, we call it EMIOGA funds for supporting these small-scale youth groups. So UDB, the innovation fund for the scientists, the EMIOGA fund for the youth groups, the microfinance, all those lines of credit. What we want to insist on is low cost of money. Interest rate should not be more than 12% for the loan, for those loans.
Your Excellency, speaking on the relief to the trade sector, you did engage the tenants. However, there's been back and forth between the landlords and the tenants on arrears on rent during the lockdown period. This has not been resolved, Your Excellency. I don't know if it has come.
I don't have the latest, I will check. I don't have the latest.
Your Excellency, there's been different approaches to tackling of the pandemic in the East African community. The challenge, however, is that our neighboring countries continue to open up more, and yet they register more cases than we actually do on a daily basis, including death. Is there a regional strategy to address this?
We discussed with the President of Rwanda, President of Kenya, President of South Sudan, and we had agreed on a plan of the drivers. I have not checked how far it went, but fortunately for us, I think the drivers are no longer the main problem now. Actually, the main problem are the Kampala group. That's why I hear more cases, because they are careless. They wanted to die, so we are beginning to get some death, because it says whatever the Bible says, whatever you sow, that's what you reap. People are sowing recklessness, and we are now harvesting death. So I think people are going to be more careful, because they thought it was a joke. They thought that it was propaganda. But now, I think we have had now 7. So I will read the story of each one, then I will speak to the Ugandans again to tell them that this is not a joke. It is serious. But fortunately, the ones who, because the numbers are still small, because of the earlier measures we had taken, when they get sick, if they get to the health center, health facility quickly, they get cured. Cured not because we have got a cure for corona, but because the doctors support the body and the body fights the virus.
Your Excellency, I wanted to move to a matter on security, which remains one of the key pillars of the NRM and government, not just here in the country, but security in the region as well. Of recent, we've seen a spate of some crime in some areas. I think the most recent being Chiwologoma, just after Gayaza, into the Kira area, where I think about 16 houses were broken into by a gang. And we're wondering whether the lockdown period is responsible for some of this crime.
No, these criminals, you remember, were there even before the Vijandias, the what, and that's how we deployed the LDUs. Now, the LDUs made some mistakes, and there was some shouting on the social media, so we pulled them back. However, the other day I was in Kasubi, and the LCs were telling me that Amaje Kumabiaro, that's what they are calling the LDUs. I didn't know their translation. Nti Amaje Kumabiaro. The armies that guard the villages, the army that guard the village, they were saying, bring back LDUs. So it seems the orchestrated outcry on the social media may not be shared by because in Kasuri they told me, Mukomyo Amaje Kumabiaro Kwango Hubi Bukomyo. So fortunately we are all here, and we responded a bit to the outcry, because of course the outcry was unreasonable, because the LDUs who made mistakes were arrested. What else can be done? Arrested, charged. They were not, there was no impunity. So the outcry was a little bit exaggerated, but now I can hear from the villages that the villagers want back their magic. And these people had been recruited in Kampala. They are Kampala people actually. All these LDUs were Kampala Wakiso. That's why this is the principle of LDUs. Should be local, not imported. So they are there. They will be deployed and finish this that lawlessness like they had done it before.
Your Excellency, let's move to a question on the economy that has been growing at an average of 4.7 in the past 5 years, according to the World Bank. But also, the African Development Bank did report that we had strong growth in 2019, estimated at 6.3%, largely driven by the expansion of the services sector, captured again as one of the vulnerable areas during COVID. Agriculture, which employs the majority of our people, only grew at 3.8%. That's 2019, according to the African Development Bank. What's the strategy to grow the economy, both by your party as chairperson of the NRM party and government, towards economic sustainability?
Well, the economy of Uganda is very strong. It is just that the people are asleep. What they call in Nusoga Kulambara. They're just asleep. All we need is to wake them up. The little we have woken them up has produced huge volumes of coffee. Coffee is now 7 million bags of coffee from 2 million bags. Maize is now 5 million tons from 200,000 tons in 1986. Milk is 2.6 billion. Maybe I can remove so that people can hear me more clearly, as long as you keep yours on. Because me, I have no corona. I checked the other time when my voice. The bananas were grown only by people in the Ankara area in the immediate past. But now, an area like Fort Portal, like Toro, big growers of bananas, big amount. Cassava, with Archbishop Odama, we have launched a big cassava effort in northern Uganda. So soon we shall have big quantities of cassava. Like Victoria, the fish is coming back after it was destroyed by bad fishing. So therefore, it's just a question of adjustment. Like for instance, sugar. We have got surplus sugar now, excess sugar. We are producing 500,000 tons, while our consumption is only 300,000 tons. Industrial products, cement, steel, blankets, textiles, all, it's big. So the problem we are actually having now is marketing. That's why you hear that the price of agricultural products have gone down a bit. Bananas, milk. But this is temporary. If for instance, you take milk, we are only getting the primary industrial products, which are liquid milk, pasteurized milk, UHT, butter, ghee. Those are primary industrial products. Ebiva mu mate ebitandikirwako. But because of the little challenge, when the market had, the local market and the regional market was oversupplied, then people had to think. And that's how the factory near on the way to Mbarara from Lyantonde, the one that makes casein. Casein is a protein that is made out of milk, and it is used as a food supplement. It's a protein supplement. It is also used in pharmaceutical factories for making capsules. So we are now making casein and selling to the US. So we are deepening the industrialization. With 2 mic sugar, we have agreed with Mayuge to process the chai sugar, brown, white sugar, into industrial grade sugar. Because while we say there's 2 mic sugar for tea, the sugar for use by Coca-Cola is being imported. It's called industrial grade sugar. And I think the other year they spent $41 million on that. So we are now going to produce industrial grade sugar, not only for Uganda, even for other countries in Africa. And so on. So you can go item by item. That we are now beginning to go to tertiary industrial products, no longer just the primary. We must go to the tertiary. Like for instance, maize. First of all, with maize, we had not even exhausted the primary. Yes, we are producing kaunga, maize flour, but animal feed was being imported from Kenya for chicken, for pigs and so on. You people who eat pigs, you know that. But now, all the animal feed will be made here. But in addition, we shall go to starch, industrial starch from maize. Then also make gas for cooking from using stoves instead of using firewood. People can use gas from cassava, where you produce the starch you get. Some of it you use for medicine, some of it you use for animal feeds, because starch is needed for pharmaceutical in order to make tablets. Like quality chemicals, part of the reasons why their medicine is still expensive is that they are still importing industrial sugar from China, from India, for making syrups for children medicine, and also for making tablets for. So, given peace in Uganda, given the abundant electricity we have now, because we have got now more electricity than actually we are consuming, given the good network of roads, given the fact that we are repairing the old railway line to the north, to Gulu and Pakwach, and we are developing water transport on the lake for cargo from Kisumu, from Mwanza. And given that we have handled the issue of the cost of money, the industrial growth will be much stronger than that. So it will compensate for service. But the service also will come back, because as I said, they are vulnerable, but they come back. The other one is durable because it deals with the basics of life, which never change. Food, medicine, those never change.
Your Excellency, I wanted to move to some questions on the upcoming general elections and the campaigns. First of all, Your Excellency, congratulations on your nomination as the NRM Party presidential flag bearer, but also NRM chairperson. What are the key pillars the party will be advocating for in the next general election?
You wait for my manifesto. You wait.
I thought you were about to leak it to UBC before you launch it.
No, it isn't. But it will contain some of the points I've already talked about. Deepening industrialization. Maybe what I should add on is also, because now much of our wealth has been based on, first of all, agriculture, then industry, based on natural resources through value addition. You have cotton, you make textiles out of cotton. You have sugar cane, you make sugar out of sugar cane. So it is agriculture, feeding industry. And what we are saying is that there we are going to deepen the process. Not only the primary, but also the tertiary products from those products. But then minerals the same. If you have got phosphates, you make fertilizers out of them, as we are doing in Tororo. You have limestone, you make cement. So it is natural resources, industrial products. But also, because of this, our success in the education, the massive education we launched when we came, is that now we have got a huge number of our scientists who are now beginning to produce products of the brain, not just sugar cane and sugar, cotton and cloth, but the brain getting a computer, an electronic solution to a problem. Like it is one of our people who has made a solution for tracing drugs from the medical stores to the health center, stopping all this stealing. We are talking of the vaccines. There are people who are working on the vaccines. So we are now going to have another pillar because of the previous successes of wealth, which is knowledge-based wealth. All this will come in the manifesto.
Your Excellency, an election during COVID, this COVID pandemic, raises mixed feelings. Yourself, sir, you've been avoiding crowds and speaking against any sort of event that draws or attracts crowds. There are views, and there were views, on postponing the election. However, we are on course to having an election despite the pandemic. Does this allay the fears of the people not following SOPs? And what are the opportunities that voters have to vet their candidates for various positions without these campaigns?
Well, but when you speak on the radio, you reach more people than they want. Because when I go to a rally, because normally when we had the constituents were 296 last time. There were 296, the constituencies. I think they are now more. But when I was visiting, in order to cover them, I was addressing 4 constituencies in a day. There was no serious talk when people just say, oh, we have seen him, oh, he's still strong. And they go away. They don't listen to, I don't have enough time, an hour, 2 hours to spend on one rally. Otherwise, how will I cover the 4? So it is more or less just PR, just going and shouting, oh yeah, then you make some few points about the local situation. And normally these constituencies, are normally like with 4 sub-counties. So what we, the NRM, were doing, we would address the rally for that constituency in one of the sub-counties where the people from nearby would walk to the rally point, and then you bring delegates from the other 3. But there would be three sub-counties where people don't come because they are far, and there are too many. They cannot fit here. So these ones, actually, if you are talking about the message, you can do a better message on the radio in the evening when people are at home, when the Electoral Commission apportions time. You can reach more people because you reach each person in his home. They will listen to the message. Yeah. I am a Christian. I have never met Jesus. I have never held a meeting with Jesus, or even a telephone call. But I got the message by reading the Bible. That's how I am a Christian. Now, get the message of the people. This time through either reading, but especially through the radio. The radio can reach everywhere. We have had this business of rallies or what is also part of our. But they have held elections in South Korea. Just like if the people are already registered, they have had elections in Poland, I think. They had elections somewhere else. There are others where they have rallies, but in those other places, I don't think they even had rallies. They were in South Korea and in Poland. I never saw them rallying. This rally is an African phenomenon. I think it's like part of our culture, okujaguza to. But otherwise, if you are talking of message. Or waka, there is enough on the radio, especially for the MPs and for the presidential candidates and so on. The other levels, because there are more numbers, we may have to think of some other ways like megaphones, somebody going through the villages talking. Even if people don't come together, but they can hear. It's possible to have the idea of a state of emergency was not a good one because this is the problem we had in the 1960s. We had elections in 1962. We were supposed to have another election in 1967. It was never held. State of emergency. That Obote had fought with Mutesa in 1966. But Mutesa had already run away, so you wonder why the election was never held. The election was never held until Idi Amin came in 1971. And we never had election until 1980, 18 years. So I didn't like the idea of state of emergency. Because you can vote, you can hear the message remotely, and then you vote. Because the voting itself is safe, because you go in line and you vote and you go home. We were balancing problems, but we thought the problem of not voting was worse.
Your Excellency, the opposition has been demanding for a fair ground ahead of the elections. They claim they've been denied access to media platforms and their movement around the country is curtailed. They are calling for a level field ahead of the elections. What do you say about this?
Many of the media houses are opposition. It should be the NRM that should complain. Some of the radios are anti-NRM, NTV, is enemy radio. There's another one called NBS. I don't know whether it is enemy or what. They normally Then there are so many anti-NRM radios. So why are we not complaining? They have been demonizing us for all this time, telling lies. But we always get our message through. It's not actually the leveling the ground should be for the NRM for the truth. I don't want anybody to level the ground for me, but stop telling lies and do truthful things. That's all. But in terms of the vehicles for lies, the opposition has got more vehicles for lies than the NRM. NTV, this Carissa's radio, whatever they call it, NBS. I don't know about CBS. Where does CBS fall? Is it friendly or what? I never listened to them, but I hear. Even sometimes, even Kapshenga's group, sometimes, Kapshenga's group, Bukede, I don't know which one. But the NRM survives in spite of all these liars. So that's a false argument. It is rubbish, actually. It is a lie. There's more anti-NRM than anything else with that media. If you are to quantify the media, I think you could say that 80% is anti-NRM, maybe 20% is. Of course, NRM is also they are a bit laid back. They never talk much. They never. So that's not true.
Your Excellency, recently, Research World International released a poll, the poll which was conducted around March, pre-COVID, which put you ahead of all the possible candidates in the race to the presidency at 47% of their 2,300 sample size. Do you, first of all, believe in polls? And what's your opinion on this poll?
Well, you remember those polls are not new, especially the ones conducted by Monitor. The Monitor always has a problem of accepting that NRM is very popular. So they say, oh, 47%. The other time they said 49%. You remember the other election, they always do that. And when we come to the election, we end up with 70%. So I think the polls, generally speaking, those polls may represent the obvious, that the NRM is massive and very strong, and that it will win, but they try to suppress it, to say they will win, but with 47%, maybe there will be a rerun or something like that. Just wishful thinking. You check what they published last time, before the election. In 2006, in 2011, they always 49%. Then I end up with 60%, with 70%. NRM will win, but it will win not with 47%. It will win with much bigger percentage.
Your Excellency, the NRM Electoral Commission Chair recently stated that the party has registered over 11 million party members. But I want to take you to 2016, the election, where the party then had registered 9 million members, and only 5.9 turned up to vote for you, which was about 60.7% of the vote in the last election. As the chair of the party and the candidate for the NRM, how do you plan to leverage on this growth to 11 million, but also help swing the election to your side by drawing all the 11 million on election day?
I would not tell you our strategy. That's our strategy. Chirimutu. The one which is in the package is known by the one the one which is packed, Chirimutu, the Uganda say, Chirimutu Chimanyu, Nanyinicho, the one which is tied in a bundle is known by the one who has tied it. So, Yumbreke, Sagala Kubategeza.
Your Excellency, moving to something you recently addressed on the social media platforms, the issue of the tribal sectarian sentiments on social media, the issue that has been politicized and continues to draw lots of hate speech on social media, there is a call to rein in on this debate. How best can we address this as a country?
Well, for me, I don't mind dismantling people with wrong ideas, as long as they bring them out, because I answered them. I don't know what they have answered now. I have not checked, but I will read them again, because I don't know if somebody was editing, or marking who would be right, because these people say Amawanga tribes. But that is a pseudo ideology. It is a false ideology. Because really the issue is prosperity of the people. Abantu okubera obulungi. Now, right from primary school, my kubera obulungi, my prosperity, was not mainly from the Banyankore, who were my relatives, my neighbors. I went to school because my father was selling his cows, once in a while, to the cattle market at Ntungamo. And then he would get money to pay for my school fees. And the people who were buying, I never saw Munyankore buying those cows. Because at that time the Banyankore were not active in business. They were mainly crop people and cows people. The Indians and the Baganda were the ones who were in business. So the people who used to buy our cows actually were two Baganda. One was from Kampala called Warusimbi Mpanga. Another one was a fat man from Muganda from Mbarara. The Banyankore called him Buchenya. Buchenya is what you would call Bukenya in Uganda. But the Banyankore called him Buchenya. He was so fat from our cows because he was eating a lot of them. They are the ones who are buying the cows. 1956, I started seeing a Mzungu man, a white man, called Shea. He was based at Ishaka, and he was buying cows to take to Kirembe mines. Kirembe mines had started. So these are the people who are buying our cows. So if you are talking about the prosperity of Museveni, it was not supported by Banyankore. It was supported by other Ugandans, the ones who were buying the cows and the ones who were eating them. Even today, my prosperity, there was a young person who sent a social media message that why do I use the Baganda word Bazukuru? Don't I have a Nyankore one? Otwesibako. Then I answered the child. I don't know what she has answered. I said, yes, nkwesibyeko munange kubanga nkwetaaga. Ate nawe singa olengera wala bantu badonesibako because you need me. So that was the situation in the 1950s. I went to school because of Uganda. I had my resources. They were not giving me resources, but my resources were only meaningful when Uganda came in, the non-Banyankwere part of Uganda, because you see the Banyankwere had cows. Yeah. I had cows, my neighbor had cows. I had bananas, my neighbor had bananas. He was not buying from me, I was not buying from him. So the ones who helped us actually were these other people. Of course, you can say that the Banyankwere also helped me because by having bananas, I have bananas, then the volumes are big. So marketing becomes easy, it attracts the buyers. So it is my prosperity is partly supported by those Banyankwere by co-producing with me, but also by these non-Banyankwere who buy our products. So, and the reverse is true. If you go to the Baganda shops in Kampala, who are the people who buy in those shops? It's not just Baganda. It is everybody who has money. The other day I checked, and you find that 18 buses leave Lira every morning and come to Kampala. And those buses are bringing money to Kampala here, from Lira to Kampala. So, I am ready for the battle with the enemies of Africa. The ones who don't see the importance of the interdependence among the African people. If you don't see it, if I was to stand here and say, we Banyankwere, Fengaba Nankore, I would be an enemy of the Banyankwere first. Because if there was no Uganda, the people to suffer first would be the Banyankwere. Yeah. Who would buy their milk? Who would buy their cattle? Who would buy their bananas? Because for them, they can't easily trade among themselves because they are producing similar products. Now, if you hear a Muganda talking, Baganda, you know he's an enemy of Baganda, number one. And secondly, an enemy of Uganda and an enemy of Africa. And we shall crush those enemies, as we have done in the past. Yeah. You preach your nonsense, we shall answer you by word. And if you go beyond word and want something else, you also get it. This is not the first time. We have had this before. We have had this before because we had groups. Otherwise, why did Uganda have problems? Bantus against Nilotics, Nilotics against Bantu. These were the rubbish of 1966. That there is a conflict between Bantu and Nilotics and Mutesa, Ivinjira, the other group, for the Bantus against Obote, and for the Nilotics. Baganda against this one, Catholics against the other one, but most Christians against that rubbish. We shall defeat it. That's why I don't mind answering. You speak, and I answer you, and people can listen. I'm very confident of my answers. I would defeat anybody, any of those people in any forum. In 1982. The Red Kaira was disturbing our war zone where we were fighting. That NRA is Majegaba Nyankore. That him Kaira, Ayagara Kora Majegaba Ganda, UFM. So we said, okay, you go and fight on your own, don't come to our area. You go and fight as Baganda. War is not food. The Banyankwere have a proverb, say, and when you are making a lamb for food, you make a small one, so that people don't come and finish the food. But when you are making for war, you make a big one, so that more people come. So Kaira thought war was food. She said, as Baganda, why do you want to monopolize a war? A war is very, very, very costly. You should call more people to come. But when he came to our Chikunyi conference, we called our villagers who were predominantly Baganda. And we said, okay, you say what you are saying. He tried to convince them. And we answered him. And the villagers said, Musajonu, this man is very dangerous because there's problems. So the villagers rejected. So I am ready for the debate with the sectarians. The other day I was in the social media with them. I don't know how far it has gone now. I will check. It's not just enough to shut them up. It is also good to defeat their logic clearly. If they go beyond argument and they try to do things, of course we shall deal with them.
Your Excellency, speaking about social media, you've been quite active lately and continue to engage on your platforms, that's Facebook and Twitter, that speak mostly to the Bazukuru you are speaking about. How best would you encourage your followers? And by the way, Mr. President, you have the largest following of heads of state even in Africa, both on Facebook and on Twitter. How would you encourage your followers to use these platforms positively?
Because you see the arguments of the patriots. You see, they are patriots. That's why the NRM talks of the 4 principles: patriotism, Pan-Africanism, socio-economic transformation, and democracy. So we, the patriots and the Pan-Africanists, have distilled our analysis of what needs to be done and why. So no matter what I do, when I write pieces like the ones I write, and I have written so many of them, so what I think I will do is to give people like you all these writings, like for instance the speech I gave on Mandela Day a few years ago, because all our analysis is there. These people are talking of identity, tribe, religion. For us, we rejected that long ago, and we said no. What is important is interests of people. Kiki ekinagasa abantu. What will the Banyankore have a very good word, okuchenura, omucheno, to remove the problem. Prosperity. I've already told you that prosperity comes from community exchange of goods and services. Even in the pre-colonial times, when the Banyankore had cows and things like that, the back cloth, embugu, were coming mainly from Uganda and from Bukoba, from Tanzania, and Rakai Kochi. And if you wanted to tell which doctors who could clog and you don't recover, you had to go to Kochi or Tanzania or Bukoba. So there were specializations. We were, even that time, although we had stupid kings who were stopping us from trading, but the trade was still going on. So all this literature is available. So I would encourage our cadres to really, I would have to publish all these books, I think, and make them in the book, put them in the books, and people just buy them. So, because all the arguments are there. When somebody brings a wrong point, you can answer it. Because we have analyzed all this. There's nothing that we have not looked at in the last 50 years. Because some of us, I was first in DP 1960 up to 1970. But you know DP, they were talking about sectarianism. Catholics, what? Then UPC came with the counter sectarianism of Protestants. Now, when we looked at this, we saw it was defective, because people want incomes to solve their problems, to build a better house, to educate your children, to give medical for your people, to give clothing for your people. And somebody is talking about what is of no meaning. I'm a Mnyankore. You're a Mnyankore, okay, fine. So what? Yeah. That's identity. In some places, you can get, like in the US, where people persecute black people, identity can become a problem, in addition to livelihood, to prosperity. But like in Uganda here, it's not a problem. It's just being used by opportunists who is against anybody. You are all free to do what you want in your area. And Elangi can do what he's doing there, others can do where they are. So what is crucial is to emphasize the mutual interest.
Your Excellency, some of the light moments during COVID-19 are your recent trending videos on indoor exercising, Your Excellency. What drives you?
Look out.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40.
Well, you see, I grew up as a cowboy, because children who look after cows are very tough. They are very tough, because even when we were in the bush fighting, it was like a walkover. Because even before, I used to walk. There's a time when I walked with a heifer from 8 miles beyond Ntungamo, walking. The quote of Funya, when you walk with it, from 8 miles beyond Ntungamo up to Mbarara, up to Katebe, 10 miles. So that was a total of 58 miles. Walking with a cow in 36 hours. And when you are walking with the cow, you see you are not just walking. The cow is going this way. So when you total up, it was like 100 miles. So I think the mistake people make is that when they get to the town, they abandon their heritage. They try to imitate Europeans, to abandon which I rejected from long ago. So although I got into this system, I keep the other, the heritage and modernize it. So when we joined the army, of course, we do all those exercises, karate. If you want me to give you a karate, I can sort you out. So now in those additional trainings, like the karate training, you learn how to do all those exercises for that, and then you can pick the ones you can do outdoors. Outdoors is much better because outdoors, especially walking or cross country, you really use the whole system for a long time. But if you are like when we were in the underground, when I would be in London in the hotel, I couldn't, stay there waiting to go to Libya or to some other place. I couldn't start running in the streets. What is a black man doing in the streets? You attract attention. So what you learn now how to use the confined space. And I found it was very easy. Because the karate exercises you can do them inside. And like the push-ups are very good for somebody who is busy. Because you force the body to put quite a bit of stress on itself in a short time. I may not have time to go to the gym to do this. I don't have time. I come back at 11 o'clock. So the choice is either to sleep without exercising or to exercise in the limited space. And when you do that, it's very helpful. Very helpful. Very helpful. But it's also good for the children. I'm using it to educate my grandchildren because the youth have a lot of energy. That's why I put some of my grandchildren the other day. I was with them because I want to help the other Bazukuru there. Those Bazukuru are in danger because they are there. They have a lot of energy, and the energy of youth, if you are not careful and you don't learn how to use it positively, it can be a death sentence. So what I was telling my Bazukuru the other day when we were doing this, it was not just the exercise. I was telling them first, fear God, know and fear God. Secondly, concentrate on your studies. Thirdly, when you are when it is possible, you help your parents. They must learn how to work on the farm, in the factory, or in the shop, whatever their parents are doing. They should do it also. Not to become children who are just who don't have knowledge of life, of how to live. Fourthly, be fit, and use energy of youth positively. Don't go to alcohol, don't go to Malaya. Use it. You exercise. You get tired. You sleep. Tomorrow you do other things. You remain safe, but also fit. And then fifth, patriotism. Know about Uganda, know about Africa, so that you have got a purpose. So I'm actually also using it to help my grandchildren and the other grandchildren outside there to how to live safely, and remain fit.
Finally, Your Excellency, the Baganda have a saying, and speaking now on behalf of UBC, with the huge responsibility as a national broadcaster, we have been battling with a lack of annual budget support from government. Thanks to your initial support in the 2017-18 budget for the revamp of UBC, the fruits can now be seen, but there's been calls for sustained annual support of the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation its TV stations and 11 radio stations to give 100% national coverage for television and 100% coverage for radio. Just as is done in the region. All our regional partners and even the BBC itself are financed by the British government. What do you say to this, sir?
I totally agree that you need support, and I've been watching your news every 8 o'clock I watch. You have improved. So we shall give you all the support. We shall give you all the support. If there is anybody who has not been supporting you, I will push them. I discussed with Nabakova. We shall give you the support. You just tell Nabakova to tell me what is needed.
When you started this crusade of liberating Uganda, you went with some young men, your colleagues, the Mwesugwa Black, the Mwesugas, the Rwaherus and group. They followed you by ordinary standards. These people were following something they probably didn't appreciate as much as you did. You achieved what you were able to achieve. You went back to fight Idi Amin. You achieved what you did. You took others to the bush and came back. From your assessment of this transition and looking at the Vazukuru, what do you think the population dynamics, the stability in the country, do you still have people who are ready to die with you if you are to start another war?
Yeah, he's saying that, do I still have people who are so committed? Yes, they are there. They are there. They are there. I can see them among these Vazukuru. You can see them. There are some who are taken up by foreign cultures. It's not bad to admire foreign things, but it's bad not to want to build up your own strength so that you deal with the foreigners from the position of strength. That's where the weakness is. But that weakness is really because partly the problem of the NRM itself. They don't reach out to these youth. They remain among themselves. I don't know what they do really. The people are supposed to, because when I fish out these people and they come and we talk, they understand. They understand, and some of them become very, very committed. So really, they are there. They are there. They are committed. They can be committed, but they are not well exposed. They are not well informed. It is more a little bit. You know, Uganda had a lot of problems. You see, for instance, when we came from the bush, we had prepared a big. The people you are talking about, whom we prepared in 1971. The ones you know, some of them died. Then in 1976, 78, I prepared a group in Mozambique. Some of them, the second batch, not the first batch. Among the Mozambique group, the ones who are still around is General Sare, General Coretta Ivan, and there are two others. There's Omure and another one. Now, those ones came and prepared a bigger group, the Tumwines, another group. Then those prepared another batch. But when we came from the bush, many of those people died from AIDS. So I think it affected our mobilization, because now you started relying on people who are not connected with the other history very well. Because many of the Luwero, let's say, because there was Mozambique produced Mbarara massacre, 79 war. Mbarara massacre produced Luwero, Luwero come to Kampala now. When they come to Kampala, that huge group of people who could have now gone here, gone there, now many of them died. They died. So we had now to recruit new people, these Mukishas, and so I don't know what Mukisha was doing. What were you doing in 1986?
I was in primary school, actually.
Now I'm depending on this primary school. So there was that, a little bit of that disconnection. The Bazuku seem not to be serious because they are not accessed. Once you access them and you talk to them, they really wake up. And they are a bit more idealistic because they are educated. Many of them are not, they can actually be good. It is a question of getting them.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And thanks for speaking to the nation through Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, sir.
Thank you so much.